Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the tank review of the Chieftain Mark III. I think this is one of the best tanks that I've ever played in War Thunder, and hands down, it's one of my top favorite tanks in the game. Not just, because I like it or something, but I think overall the performance is very good, especially when you get it fresh out of the box. So, let's begin with the tank review. First, we begin with the armor, and the armor is, strange. First of all, when we look at the turret front, we see that it is asymmetrical, not just in the form, but also in armor thickness. Here on the right-hand side, we can see that we have 215 millimeters of line of sight thickness, which then changes depending on the angle, but it's always thick enough to let let you be safe from normal solid shots, and even APDS shells have quite some difficulties to go through. Now there are certain areas, especially around the gun, the gun mantle and such, that are potential weak spots. So never stand still when aiming at an enemy, or when reloading, especially in close quarters. Those points are very difficult to hit from medium to long ranges for an enemy. And so also here beneath the gun there is a very small but critical weak spot. The other side of the tank does have less armor thickness, but it is sloped at 51 degrees, so that's also pretty bouncy. Overall, the turret is what makes this tank work. There we have also the cupola, which can be penetrated relatively easy by German and Russian APHE shells, also some Americans, but there are not many tanks at the tier that fire actually APHE. So, but when you look at the turret from this, it's good, but not that good. You have to take into account this 10 degrees of gun depression, which is very good. It is, letting some German tank destroyers aside, amongst the best gun depressions in the game. And when you look to a tank like this, what's the maximum depression of the gun, then suddenly you always have an auto bounce zone. But you really have to be careful with your playstyle, as you always have to be around hull down locations, as the hull is it's at a very good angle from the front, at least the upper hull, but there are also areas that can be penetrated relatively easy by German and Russian APHE shells, and then you just die. Also, the lower plate is comically bad. It's really comically bad. 76 millimeters at 45 degrees angled, just allowing you to have effective thickness of 114 millimeters. That is so bad that you get reliably penetrated by not just T-34-85s or M46 with their APHE shell. Also, a Panzer IV F2 can easily penetrate you and potentially one-shot you. It's even so bad that the Russian ZSU 57-2 can penetrate you, at least with the upgraded armor-piercing belts. So you don't want to engage anything on open field, as it can kill you. The side armor is also comically bad. Now the turret is quite okay, to be honest, coming from nearly 200 millimeters of effective thickness on an angle, and down to here at 86 millimeters. Notice please those rolled homogeneous armor parts. They are there for holding tools, I guess. They are not directly related to the hitbox. I mean, you can hit them and penetrate them, but when you penetrate them, you're not inside of the actual tank, as you have actual armor behind them. So, but it's really the hull that's problematic. 50 millimeters. There we have some side skirts with 13 millimeters, but behind that we just have 37 millimeters. 37 millimeters is quite bad, because there are a lot of guns in the game that just have the caliber to overmatch you. So at angles like this, where you would be really good to angle in tanks such as the King Tiger or even some Russian medium tanks, in this it's a death sentence. You get overmatched and the shell goes right through like there is nothing and just one-shots you. Now let's have a quick look at the inside, and we can see at the first look it just hops into your eyes, ammunition everywhere. You have 53 shells, but those are enormously large shells, and also propellant charges are huge. And when you get penetrated, it's very usually that you also can get one-shotted. Now I saw a tip that you should take out ammunition, but in fact it does not really help, to be honest. And there are two types of matches that you basically have. Either you get taken out early on or by mistake, or when you have good location and you can snipe the enemy, very reliable from a hold down position where you can control the sort of engagement. You run through the ammunition like crazy and rack up the kills like crazy. Yeah, and then we have 4 crew members: the driver, the loader, the gunner, and the commander. And the turret placement of the crew members is typical for British tanks, and so it's the opposite way around for comparing it with Russian or German tanks. Now, let's talk about the gun, and what a gun it is. It is the 120mm Ordnance BLTK L11 gun, and it features 2 types of ammunition. Both are stock from the beginning, so you don't have to research anything. The shot L15A3 and the shell L37A7. The shot L15A3 is a PDS shell with 400mm of penetration. Now, at the time of recording of this tank review, we still have patch 1.59, and so this is currently the best solid shot in the game in terms of penetration. And it works really well against sloped armor, and the muzzle velocity of 1,370 meters is amongst the best. I think just the T10M with its APDS shell does have a faster APDS shell, but with less penetration, significantly less penetration, which is kind of strange for me, but yeah, I'm not an expert on this respect. I just know how I can deal with the game or within the game. So, this is your primary shell, but don't underestimate the value of the hash shell. It does have 150mm of penetration. Now, funnily enough, that is quite the same type of penetration you get for the 105L7 gun on the Centurion Mark III, the Leopard, and also the M60. You have the same type of penetration, which is kind of strange because you have a lower caliber shell, but it is how it is. 150mm of penetration, where it doesn't matter at which angle you fire. Yeah, it's good against AAA vehicles, that ZSU 57-2, side shot, especially against ATGMs from the side. This is what you need to take out those pesky IT1s. Now, secondary guns are the 12.7mm machine gun, which should be a range-finding gun. Now, it's said that it does have the same ballistics, or should have the same ballistics as the main gun, but it's not given, so don't rely on it. I think it's rather unreliable. And you're backed off also by a 7.62mm machine gun. So, but that's not all, because for a 120mm gun, you expect a crazy long reload, but in fact, you have a crazy rapid rate of fire. Let's have a quick look at the crew, and when you have a look at the tank loader, now also keep in mind I have full leadership for my tank commander, and also the tank loader is fully trained with a silver expert crew. We can see that you have 10 seconds space reload, and I have currently 8.16 seconds. And with an ace crew, or aka gold crew, you can get down to 7.7 seconds. Now, let's talk a little bit about this ace crew. I compared it to, several types of guns. For the German 88cm gun, which is featured on the King Tiger and also the Panther II, you have 8.5 seconds reload for an ace crew. So you're 0.8 seconds faster than a significantly lower caliber gun. The same goes for the M60 with its L7 gun, where you go down to 8.3 seconds with an ace crew, and also the T54 with its 100mm gun gets down to 8.6 seconds. But still, that's nearly a second longer, like this really, really awesome 120mm gun on the Chieftain. Just the M48 pattern is significantly faster with 5.6 seconds, but that's a 90mm. The Leopard is quite comparable with its reload rate, so to the Chieftain at least. So then let's have a quick look at the upgrades, which ones you should get. Now, you have one extremely big advantage, and that's it, that you have no shells to research. So it's straightforward. Parts, horizontal drive, fire prevention system, adjustment of fire elevation mechanism, and then, I don't use rangefinders. If you're a fan of rangefinder, research it. But then I go for the engine, transmission. The tracks are also relatively important because you always have to adjust your position a lot. Then you can research the filter, suspension, brake system, and the artillery support together with the rangefinder in an order that you like. They are not that important. Now, I'm so convinced of this tank, of its capabilities, that I put a talisman on it to research the rest of the British tech tree. And as you can see, I fully spaded it before I spaded the Centurion, the Conqueror, or the Convoy and the Falcon. It's the only tier 5 in fact in Britain that is fully researched or spaded. Now, on a very raw comparison, the Chieftain looks comparable to the Conqueror. It also features a 120mm ordnance QF-TK-L1A1 cannon, but those two tanks couldn't behave more differently. The Chieftain is better in nearly every respect. I think just the side armor is really significantly better on the Conqueror. Okay, not that significantly better, but better. Now, together with its good mobility here in arcade, we have 1,240 horsepower for 54.4 tons, and when we go to the realistic settings, we still have 650 horsepower for 54 tons. In arcade, this gives you a very good mobility, and you can shift places. Now, the top speed of 41 kilometers an hour in realistic and 45 kilometers in arcade is something you see on a regular basis. The acceleration is really good, and it doesn't struggle to get up on hills. So there is a real grunt in the engine. Now, the reload speed is very, very good, and in fact, when you survive a hit that takes out 2 of your crew members, for example the gunner and the commander, and you retreat, repair, you still have a good reload. It's then comparable to, a gun of its size, like on the Conqueror or the IS-3, IS-4 series, so to speak, or therefore the T10M. And it feels like also you drive more like a heavy tank than a real medium tank, at least for me, but with a rapid firing gun. And I just can highly recommend this tank. Now, one final thing to note is that you're really fragile for air attacks and also for triple A's because of your weak side armor. And also to find a proper hull down position is not that easy because the tank is so tall. So I was kind of, under time pressure, so I've chosen to make an arcade gameplay to show the strength and weaknesses of this tank. But the same tactics basically should apply to a realistic gameplay. So I think that's enough theory crafting. Let's have a look at the gameplay, shall we? So welcome to Berlin, and just keep an eye on my surrounding and on my good, how I stick to my top speed, so to speak. And this is not just in arcade, but also in realistic. Compared to other tanks, this is a joy to drive, believe me. It always does have power. Now, the first shell misses by a lot, actually. My plan is to go near the enemy, or to the side of the enemy spawn zone, and to get them from the flank. Now, I have no problems penetrating from the front, and in fact, when you have the choice of, to shoot at the T-54, for example, you actually want to shoot the hull, and from the front, as you can take them out very reliable with one shot when you go for the crew. The ammo rack and the fuel tanks are rather unreliable, and when the enemy does have a return shot, it might cost you your life. So here I try to find a good shooting position. I don't want to get more forward, as they can have a good shot at my lower plate. And then I see the small gap between the houses, and one shot is all that it takes to take out an IT-1. They are really dangerous. They due to their extremely high penetration, ATGMs are really dangerous. Now, as you can see, the reload was quite fast, and here we have actually a pretty a little mess with this T-54 that was hit by an ATGM, obviously. I tried to reverse out of the situation and find a new position for myself. Then I go to the left and try to get near Brandenburger Tor, or Brandenburg Gate, and this is a very dangerous moment, as the enemy could have had a side shot on me. Then I tried to shoot the King Tiger, but the shell hits a very weird armor plate where it just simply bounces. That's quite unusual. And he bounces, I guess, on the turret, and I miss again. Or let's say there is this little overlap of armor on the King Tiger. Then I see a T10M, and I have to prioritize it. I have the gun to take it out, and I make a good hit into the turret. And as you can see, sadly, that the ammunition charge didn't go off. Second shot, and again I hit the ammo, and it doesn't go off. That's the bad thing about hitting or going for ammunition in War Thunder. It hasn't been changed for so many patches, and I don't know why Gaijin really doesn't address it, as it is really annoying. Then I hit the engine and the transmission of the Conqueror, and the second shed goes into the crew compartment, taking out the crew, setting the ammunition on fire. I get hit by a artillery strike, and then I have a clean shot at the back of the T10M, taking him out by letting the engine explode, it seems like. So then I see this T-54, I predict where he's going, and good night sunshine. Good hit, taking out all of the crew with an angled side shot. Normally with other nations, tanks, especially the Germans with their APHE, you probably would have bounced. Then I tried to get a shot at that Leopard, and in fact hit him in the engine. Then tried to go for the turret. Good hit there as well. He's down to 2 crew members. I should shoot the same area, as it is just a commander that I need to take out. And in fact, I actually take him out. Very nice. That's my 5th kill, by the way. Then I go try to hit this Panther too, but he reverses just right to avoid the shell. And I'm not quite sure where those 2 tanks, the Panther 2 and the T-54 are, but you can see the rate of fire is incredible. Then I think I have a shot at the Panther, but in that moment he gets taken out by a Leopard. Yeah, again, I find it hard to get my gun on target. I'm a bit impatient here because I want to kill stuff, and 5 kills are nothing for this tank. Yeah, that's a bit, bit harsh to say, but I'm used to get more kills. And so I get in an even more exposed situation, and yeah. Then I see this M103 and I have to prioritize him, take a good shot at the turret. I should not go through there, to be honest, but the M103's turret need an rework, the armor layout at least. Then I take a shot at the AAA, but there is nothing where the shell could, grab or shrapnel, so it goes right through. I should have used Hash here, but yeah. Then I had good hit into the King Tiger, but again, King Tigers are a pain in the ass to take out with solid shots from the front. I get hit by the M103, but he does no damage, and then I have to prioritize him. If he does have a heat shell available, he can really punish me hard. Another shell taking out the driver, setting the engine on fire. You really get a feeling this is a dangerous tank. I don't know where that shot went, and I get hit by something, I don't know what. It was not from the side. Must have been the M103. The King Tiger bounces harmlessly. Yeah, then I see the Centurion, but then the M103 burns down, giving me my 6th kill. I try my luck again on the 10.5 centimeter Tiger, but I have to wait for the gun to repair, and that's always painful. And as you can see, I'm down to 2 crew members. Sadly, I can't take him out as the gun breach takes all the shells, and then, yeah, I tried to get another shell into him and tried to machine gun the M42 AAA down, but it's not to be. And I'm quite, comfortably ignoring the artillery strike, but I shouldn't. As I mentioned, this tank is quite vulnerable for air attacks. That actually includes artillery strike. Well aimed by the AAA. So, and I actually choose a backup, and let's try to have again a look at the mobility. Look at the acceleration. Now, I know it's arcade, and many people say that drive models are, washed out in arcade. I disagree. If a tank sucks in arcade, I can't imagine that, it performs better in realistic. The circumstances might play more in its favor, but now the characteristics in comparison are given in arcade as well. Now, and I think that the engine could do more for the tank, in all honesty. I think this if the transmission would allow to reach higher speeds, it would be beneficial. Now, I know when I look at the team list that we have taken or whittled down the enemy team. Despite having 3 spawns, we killed the enemy team or killed a lot of their tanks. And I think that's the big place for the Chieftain, so to speak. That you go into positions where you can take out the most dangerous targets of the enemy. You have to prioritize the hard targets, such as M103s, T10Ms, T54s, IS4s, IS3s, IT1s, even King Tigers. You have to take them on, and your team will have an easier time gaining the advantage over the enemy. So that's it for this battle. Let's have a quick look at the post-battle results screens. And as we can see, for 6 kills and 1 assist, I got 33,000 silver lines and 8,095 research points. Please keep in mind there were no boosters applied, but I have a talisman on the Chieftain, so that explains the high amount of experience for relatively few kills in arcade. And I was first in team with 2,275 score points. So that's it for this tank review today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Please give this video a like. Let me know if you helped it. And subscribe if you want to see more. See you next time on the battlefield.